Today is December the 14th, and it is the second day of this December 2025 two-day sesshin. And I'm going to continue reading from the book Throw Yourself into the House of Buddha, The Life and Zen Teachings of Tangen Harada Roshi, translated by Belinda Attaway Yamakawa. It's a great title, Throw Yourself into the House of Buddha. Everybody here this weekend has done exactly that, thrown themselves to whatever ability or inspiration you have. It's been thrown into this. And to live our lives in this way of throwing ourselves in, even when it feels so bitter or so hard, we find some way to bring up that energy, that life force that's always trying to reveal itself. I'm going to start with the afterword of this book, and I try to keep the talk short this morning because everyone is very tired. But Roshi Bodhin wrote the afterword to this because he himself spent several months in Bukokuji as part of his training before he became a teacher. This is a little bit of a recap. Although he never traveled to the West and is therefore much less known here than figures such as Shunryu Suzuki Roshi or Philip Kapleau Roshi, the late Japanese master Tangen Harada Roshi stands among the great figures of 20th century Zen. Though he did not travel to teach, Zen centers run by his students now operate in countries around the globe. The harrowing and remarkable story of his childhood and service in the Japanese military during World War II has been told in the preceding pages. In this afterword, I will focus on his connection to my own teacher, Philip Kapleau Roshi, as well as to my time at Tangen Roshi's temple, Bukokuji, in the mid-1980s. Just personal note, Roshi Kapleau was my first Dharma teacher, and that was a lot of years ago, but pretty wonderful. To continue, in 1953, at age 29, Tangen was the head monk at Hoshinji, the monastery led by his teacher Daihon Sogaku Harada Roshi. I'm not very coherent today, but the suffering that he witnessed and that he went through, his 3 near-death experiences, this is Tangen Roshi, the whole atmosphere of war and suffering, and it produced this anguish, but there's also this, great determination. So to become, the head monk at 29 is it's unusual, but not given, I think, the circumstances of his life. So in 1953, that was the year when Philip Kapleau first walked through the monastery gates. His studies in Zen philosophy under D.T. Suzuki in New York had convinced him of the Zen saying, "A picture of a cake doesn't satisfy hunger," even as it left him bringing with ideas about Zen. But Tangen, having gone through years of rigorous training, had developed the insight to see through Kapleau's intellectual pride and brashness, recognizing beneath it the same anguished searching of his own youth. Their countries had been mortal enemies, leaving them both scarred and dedicated to realizing that which united them, their innately enlightened nature. I think we might reflect on that in terms of a positive future for this country. If we could be like that and see this innately enlightened nature that we all share, that would heal the racial divisions in this country, which are no longer just black, white. They are racialized things that the only... I see this as a great hope. Tangen's demands on Kapleau matched his faith in him. Once, when the American newcomer was sitting in the Doksan line, Tangen, who alone at the monastery had learned a little English, was sitting behind him, ready to go with him as his interpreter. No sooner had Kapleau struck the bell and stood up than Tangen, without warning, struck him harshly behind the ear. Kapleau, enraged, took a swing at him, but with no time to lose, stormed straight in to see Haruda Roshi. For the first time, Kapleau was able, in his aroused state, to respond to the Roshi no-mindedly from the guts rather than the head. Haruda Roshi signaled his delight. From then on, Kapleau found himself operating on a higher energy level, and at Dokusan was no longer afraid of the Roshi. Tangen had known well that compassion can sometimes take the form of harshness. Tangen meted out his special compassion for the American, even when doing so cost him precious sleep. On the last night of a 7-day sesshin, after the formal schedule had ended for the day, Kapleau secluded himself in the bathhouse to continue sitting. Tangen, ever solicitous of his struggling foreign charge, followed him in and spent hours urging him on. By the end of the night, they had bonded to a degree unique to such shared exertions. As dawn broke, they silently embraced, and Kapleau remained even further indebted to his mentor, friend, and Dharma brother. So now I'm going to turn to a few of the chapters, not a whole, just a few, really, I promise, that I hope might be helpful for people. This one is called The Illusion of Separate Self. Here we go. How does it happen? How do we fail to see our essential nature? When we were babies, we had no sense of opposition. For a baby, everything is me. There is no division, no duality. When it is hungry, it eats. When it's sleepy, it sleeps. When it needs its mother, it cries. Is the baby awakened? Of course, the baby is not lost in a dream of separation, but its state is not yet complete. A baby is totally self-absorbed. It must steadily grow. Yet with growth, the child learns to live by the discriminating mind and develops a sense of I. With growth comes the growth of the intellect and self-grasping. The sense of self and separation increases as we learn language. Everything that is not me is other, opposition, duality. We come to perceive everything to be outside ourselves. I want what is over there. I want this, I want that. The child becomes smarter and smarter. A sharp mind and exacting intellect means a lot in this world. Being smart, you can get ahead. You can make a name for yourself. You can rise to a high position. Is that bad? It's not a question of good and bad. Some use their intellectual growth for good, and some don't. That depends on the aspiration and intention of the individual. But everyone falls into the trap of dividing reality into pieces. We simply learn to treat this little I idea as the host, as the center of the universe. We just can't help but to favor and indulge this self that we imagine to exist. Almost everyone, as they reach adulthood, carries inside them a sense of lack. Something is missing. Something is not quite right. I would encourage us all to feel what that is like, that missing something. It's the longing we have to realize. At first, we try to satisfy our myriad desires to get rid of this sense of lack. Oh, if only I could have things my way, I would have no further complaints. I know exactly what I need. But if you get one, you desire two. If you get two, you desire three, four. It's never enough. We cannot ultimately be satisfied by getting what we want. And yet, some people spend all their lives thinking that gratifying desires is what being human is about. Then, once we've been able to polish our special talents and strengths, been able to study and to learn, had jobs that we have given our all to, we have made our way in the world. We have looked at things from all angles, seeking to understand what it's all about. We have seen how painful it can be to make our way in life. We have experienced the difficulty of human relationships. It should be easier, but somehow it just isn't. And those people who humor us, those whom we perceive to be of benefit to us, we like and favor and become attached to. On the other hand, there are those people who do not particularly recognize us, who overlook us or ignore us, who don't see us, who do not treat us as we would like to be treated, or that are just not the way we want them to be. These people we regard to some degree or another as enemies, as those who are against us. We don't like them. They irritate us and get on our nerves. And then we try various ways of self-improvement, self-help. Help yourself to grow, take good care of yourself, and you will be a happier person. This is the message. There are all sorts of examples of this way of thinking, and there is nothing really wrong with it. But of course, the object of self-improvement is the imagined limited self, and we are still grasping at it for all it's worth. We have tried to be kind and caring. Our intention is to be of service to others. Even so, we are still working from the standpoint of a separate self. As long as we are attached, we cannot live in clarity, and dissatisfaction remains. If we didn't have this human body and mind, we wouldn't be able to reflect on ourselves in this way. In a sense, it's more comfortable to be a car or some other animal without self-awareness that can live more or less happily idle. The source of all this anguish is the sense of separation. We have this illusion of a separate self, and we mistake this shadow for the real thing. Thus, we cannot possibly help but imagine separation. We cannot help but create barriers. Our seeing is limited, and limits are what we see. While every human being is in fact reality itself, almost all of us live in such a way that we cast aside this precious life. Most people don't understand they're turning their backs on life, and so they are blown away this way and that by the winds of circumstance. Lost in discrimination, judgment, and confusion, one becomes resigned to this fate. How sad that almost everyone meets their death in this way. Even while living lost in ignorance, there remains hidden in the belly of life itself, in your belly, the one who cannot help but seek to know true nature. Don't forget this one, who never lets you forget. This true one is always close by, urging you on, calling upon you to open your eyes. This one prompts you toward a way of being that is genuine, urging you to walk the Buddha way. The genuine seeks to awake to the genuine. There are people who say that it is greedy or wrong to desire the realization of our inherent nature. They say that Shakyamuni Buddha has awakened for us, and that's enough. Or that our state of mind is not important as long as we physically sit zazen, so there's no need for realization. Those beliefs make the Buddha's teaching small and insignificant. The passionate desire to know true nature is inherent in all human beings. It is life's very working. Every cell in our body, is everything that is around wants to be. Every little tiny creature, animal, stone, tree, cell in your body. It's all trying to come, it's all interdependent, it's all right there, working. So if you desire to awaken, please never think that is wrong. I will without fail awaken to true nature. With this mindset, we walk the Buddha path. The belief that you cannot attain awakening is a refusal to fulfill the reason for being alive, to repay your gratitude. If you do not practice, you will not awaken to reality, to your very own reality. No one can do it for you. No one can see into truth for you. It is your world, solely your world. And it should be your love, too. It really should. He goes on. Do you want to continue to live in delusion? If we spend this lifetime only seeking pleasure, singing and dancing, drinking and making merry, when the end comes, we will know that we didn't resolve this one important matter. It is necessary to clearly resolve and determine to wake up to original life, your true nature. Everyone is able to do this. No one is left out. Freedom is our essence. If the Dharma weren't universal, what would be the value in it? If the Dharma were only for the chosen few, where would be the value of pursuing it? If the Dharma could be obtained and lost, I would not be here urging you to deepen your faith beyond all doubt and to let go of body and mind. I would be not here begging you to give it your all. These are talks in Sesshin, so just, the extra push here is not how he would be talking to, lay people or a public talk, for example. The Dharma is absolute, perfect, all-pervading, all-inclusive, all-embracing. Liberation is yours from the beginning. We are altogether in essence free. All being abides in the radiance of Buddha nature. All being is the radiant light of Buddha. Together with all beings sentient or insentient, with grasses and trees, together with the great earth, I attain the Buddha way, uttered Shakyamuni Buddha. With his great enlightenment, he attained perfect liberation. He came to life, to true life, to liberation, which is our birthright, our essence. Yet how easily we doubt, how easily we forget. I don't know if I have what it takes. Maybe I'm not ready. Maybe I can't do it. Those doubts are utterly unfounded. This one truth is just as true for you as it is for all the Buddhas. In the Buddha way, in reality, there are no exceptions. Each of you now receiving these words is blessed with this sacred reality. It might sound even too good to be true to you. How can it be that I am so blessed when I don't even feel good about myself? I could repeat it for you 1,000,000 more times, and it would still not even begin to express the absolute perfection with which we are blessed. Because of upside-down false perceptions, we fail to see our inherent nature. We are just looking off at the play of our discriminating mind, and we take it to be the host. For once, realize the true host. Become one with who you really are, and all is well. What a shame for you not to awaken to this wonder, not to prostrate yourself before it, before everything in the universe, not to come to appreciate, to celebrate real life. For that, we are doing our practice. We start with what we've got to do right here, right now. The aim is to come to awaken, to know yourself, to see what life is really about, and this one-way path is the universal way which includes all beings. It is not only for our own small liberation, it is for the liberation of all beings. We start out with this as our aim. Well, we could stop right now, but not, I'll read one more chapter on suffering. Because all that exhortation and joy is wonderful, but I'm still sitting here wondering, oh God, I've been trying so long, and I'm not feeling that encouraged. So, we'll go to suffering. A long time ago, an ancient king of Persia assembled all the sages and great minds of his time to investigate the meaning of human life. He was impatient for the answer. But this investigation takes time, he was told, and as the years passed, he waited to receive the fruit of their discussion. He grew old. It took almost all of his lifetime. And when his death was approaching, he demanded to hear the answer in a nutshell. What is it to be human? And this was the answer. A person is born, suffers, and dies, and there's no knowing what comes after that. He must have been shocked, but we cannot deny that for most people that is true. Born, suffer, and die. The pain and suffering that each person feels are different, uniquely their own. Suffering comes in endless varieties, endless levels and degrees. There is the suffering of not getting what you want, the suffering of getting what you don't want, the pain of being separated from those you love, and the opposite pain of having to be with someone you can't stand. There is also the pain of losing children, the pain of losing parents. There is also the pain of not being recognized, causing dissatisfaction and frustration. There are forms of suffering far more extreme than what most people experience in their lives. It can be so intense that even though you need and desire to sleep, you can't. You can't eat because the food won't pass down your throat. You know what it is you're supposed to do when you wake up in the morning and go through your day, but you can't do it. Can't even remember how it's done. You're unable to settle down and concentrate on anything. Such a degree of suffering can come to you and can become your life. There are those who meet with this type of deep suffering even as children. Others might meet it in adolescence. Something might happen at that time that causes a person to stop believing in life, to fail to see the value of it. Many people go through this, getting up in the morning, going to work, filling their stomachs when they have to be filled, but even if desires are gratified, it doesn't mean anything. Desires are self-propagating, and there will always be the continuation of wanting. The seeds of pain are boundless, but the root of all of them is grasping at I, me, mine, the misconception of a self. Each and every person has problems. Everyone holds something in their heart, and this becomes baggage. If I ask at this moment, in this sendo, and to people online, if I ask you to raise your hand if your heart has never been broken, I don't think there would be a single hand. We are all broken-hearted in so many ways. But it's this shared suffering is leads us on to where we are now. Our suffering baggages become heavy, and living becomes the pain of not being able to lay down those heavy bags for even an instant. And some people's baggage is heavier than others, and some suffering is deeper than others. But if you are a human being, that is just equal to saying you are already carrying baggage. Somebody arrived here at Bukokuji to do zazen for the first time. He had a backpack on his back and bags in both hands. Can you imagine him showing up there with his bags in both hands? It looked like us coming to Sushin, right? I told him to come in, especially the first time. I told him to come in and have some tea with the others, and he proceeded to go and have tea, still carrying his bags. That made sense because he didn't know yet east from west, and he hadn't been told where he was going to rest. I am thinking so much of one of our beloved Sangha children who, when they now are they, but there was a she then, came here first time with a backpack and took off her shoes. She was told she needed to take off her shoes, leave your backpack here. And she wasn't going to leave her backpack. And she kept that backpack on her for a long time. I mean, maybe it was all day, I don't know. But it was symbolic of how she felt about her safety and all of those things. So, very touching. So if you see somebody with a backpack that they can't let go of, be very gentle. Don't kick the bag and, be aggressive. Just accept it. He put down the bags he was holding, but he still kept the bag on his back. So I figured he'd forgotten he was carrying it. He finally noticed that he needed to take it off, and he did. And then I told him, "You still have one more burden you're carrying around, don't you?" He answered, "Well, that bag isn't so easy to lay down." It was good to hear that. It meant that he had reached the point where it would be easy to show him the way, where he could reflect on this heaviness, this burden. Many people still don't realize what they are carrying around, and that suffering is the fabric of their lives. The Buddha used to say that this world is an ocean of suffering, but that is only if you grasp at the waves. The ocean, in essence, is great freedom. We do encourage, as you know, in practice, that this suffering has to be looked at as well. In Sesshin, one tries to have it set aside, but sometimes things must come up and they have to be looked at. As you practice Zazen, and there are people here for whom this is a very early beginning in their life of the Buddha way, but we have to feel our suffering. Most of us learn to deal with it by pushing it away, squashing it down, finding ways out, but with help of the various kinds that are available, one needs to notice one's suffering and feel it. And however we embrace it and work with it, that is important work. If you push it away, if you suppress it, you're carried. That bag is still on your back. You still got that backpack firmly attached. So the Buddha likened it to grasping at waves. The ocean is in essence great freedom. There are waves upon waves in the great ocean. All kinds of waves appear. You may grasp the crest of a wave and assume that that is you. The water of the great ocean certainly appears as waves, but there's no need to grasp at them. The wave is in essence the water of the great ocean. The wave can sometimes seem happy, sometimes fortunate. Other times we may grasp at the wave of bitterness, unhappiness, and pain and think that's all we are. Up and down and up. Are you satisfied with passing your whole life and dying like this? Grasping at the waves, you will know plenty of worry, plenty of dissatisfaction, and plenty of frustration, because darkness is just a part of the package. Really, the waves, the myriad forms, are all a part of the great ocean, encouraging you to wake up to your true nature. Wave after wave after wave are encouraging you, pushing you. The more painful the experience you have, the more it can be a seed for your awakening. You know how easy it is to get caught up in a certain degree of happiness, in a heavenly realm, pleasant and fun. Distracted in this way, you could pass a lifetime. So the waves of pain and bitterness may especially encourage you. Everything is urging you, awaken to life. It's your own reality. Sometimes it's hard, sometimes it's trying. When the struggle is bitter, the struggle is bitter. This hardship is you. It is your life. You cannot avoid it. The tears of struggle that wet your sleeves, no matter what comes up, is just as it is. It is your life. There is nothing outside your life. Practice what cannot be practiced. Endure what cannot be endured. Resolve to work in this way and strengthen and freshen your resolve. You will know that your tears were not in vain. You will know that they were not wasted. If you give your all, you will receive all. The tears of pain will become the warm tears of Dharma joy and gratitude. When tears have rotted away the sleeves of your kimono, where will you be able to pull all your joy? There's so much more in this book and so many more things that we could look at. But I think it's a good moment, actually. And I'll just finish with his little story of the cockroach. I feel so blessed to be alive. Thanks to the inner harmony, the interdependence of the total universe, I am alive. Everything in the universe is working together, dedicating itself completely, so that I am nurtured and protected. Life is bright, life is dear, it's boundless, priceless, perfect jewel. You have been born as a human being, so you can attain this understanding. Thanks to everything, I have this life. When you finally grasp things in this way, then you are finally fully human. You are indebted deeply to each and every other human being. There are no enemies and no one to be despised. This is not an idealistic view. I have known even 4-year-olds who are aware of their deep connection with others, grateful for the blessings they receive, and live their lives with this in mind. I know 60-something-year-olds who still hold themselves to be the dearest in the world, with no time to consider others and spending their days trying to have it easy. How about you? Are you reverent towards all life? Are you grateful to all things? True gratitude is gratitude for all of life, whatever form it may take. How sad it would be to spend this life without appreciation and gratitude. Let me tell you one story about a little insect for whom we could all learn something. I missed breakfast one morning when we were going to pay a visit to an elderly couple who were moving to live with their children. We were going to pray at their family altar, which they had devotedly tended for many years. We would then move it to the new location in their children's home. I had left a steamed bun in my room uneaten, and before departing, I packed the bun in my bag, planning to eat it on the road. Later, when I got hungry in the car, I pulled it out of my bag and started to unwrap it. And there I found a little cockroach munching away on the bun. We stopped the car, and I was just about to put him out, the cockroach and the bun outside in the grass, when I realized what I was doing. As long as he was happily munching away, the little cockroach would be fine. But once his stomach was full, he would look around and find himself in a strange place, out of the world, all by himself, where he might find himself lost and lonely without his mother and father and brothers and sisters. I put him back into my bag, wrapping him loosely in the paper with the bun, saying, "You come on this trip with me." We went about our day praying at the altar in both its original home and in the new one. The children treated me to a nice meal, and we drove back to Bukokuji. And as soon as I returned to my room, I opened the paper with the bun in it and found that the cockroach wasn't crushed, and I was very glad. I apologized to it for dragging it off on this long, tiring journey, and together with the bun, I put him in the corner of my room just as he had been. When I sat down to work at my table, I heard a rustling sound. I looked down to see the little cockroach come right before me on the table. Directly before me, and facing me, it stopped. Then it seemed to lower its head as if to bow and say, "Thank you." I put it back in the corner with its bun, and I went back to what I was doing. But again, I looked down to see that it had followed me back and was standing straight before me again with an attitude of gratitude, as if to say, "Thank you for carrying me. Thank you for guarding me this day." There was no doubt that the cockroach was expressing its gratitude to me for having safely brought it home. It had understood and appreciated the compassion shown to it. I took it back to its bun again, saying, "I understand what you're saying. It's okay. It's okay." It didn't come back again, and later on I saw that it was enjoying its family, the 10 or so cockroaches who were living in the corner of my room. I was amazed and moved. The cockroach understood and made an effort to come right in front of me to say thank you. Its attitude of gratitude was so sincere, I couldn't help but think that here we are, human beings, blessed with so much goodness and care, and we often spend our days complaining and dissatisfied. We could learn something from that cockroach. If we are embroiled in dissatisfaction and objections, even this little cockroach could laugh at us. We have a saying, those who appreciate blessings are few, and those who realize the value of sacred life are indeed few. That is why we have to give our all to practice. We have to break through our selfish disposition and be able to appreciate all the things we are blessed with, appreciate life itself. Giving to Zazen is showing gratitude. We have to be able to practice in this way. During Zazen, a kind heart must fill your every breath. Each one doing is repaying the debt of gratitude to all the mothers and fathers who have given us birth. We'll stop here now and recite the 4 vows.